I believe. So from your Chas, from your perspective, being from industry and academia basically, what do you think to begin with of the outcomes, and you can also reflect before you finish, and we'll go over to George again on the process to coming to this stage.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm wondering how on earth do I follow Richard and then Paul and then George? You know, these are hard acts to follow. Let me just try and make 3 points. First of all, I'll share with you what I worry about, what I lose sleep over. Then secondly, I'll share with you what we're doing in Oxford. And thirdly, I'll share with you what I think the impact of everything that George has done, and it has been quite remarkable. Everything George has done in the UK, I'll try and share with you some of the impact that we're actually seeing. So first of all, what do I worry about? 2 things. I worry desperately about generating new medicines. Society is desperate for new medicine. We have got epidemics in certain conditions: Alzheimer's, depression, schizophrenia, obesity. And some of these areas pharma is pulling out of because they're too difficult. How on earth are we going to get new medicines for these? We all know Alzheimer's, you know, in a few years' time, more than 1 in 4 of society will be over the age of 65. And of course, the need for medicines just increases exponentially. The second thing I worry about the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry is brilliant at certain things. It's brilliant at things that require scale and infrastructure. So things like high throughput screening, lead optimization, toxicology, manufacturing, regulatory, and then the really big clinical studies, phase 3 clinical studies. It's only big pharma that can do those. Biotechs can't do them, and academia certainly can't do them. And of course, we've all seen what's happening to this industry, not just in Sweden. We felt it big time in the UK. In the past 5-6 years, I've seen Pfizer pull out of the UK or shut the sandwich site. I've seen GSK shut Harlow. I've seen Merck shut Harlow, AstraZeneca shut Loughborough, and these are not small sites, and Novartis halved their research effort in Surrey. So 2 big things, these are major problems. If the pharmaceutical industry does not flourish, we will not get medicines for some of these indications. So what are we doing in Oxford? What we're doing, and it's been enabled, George, thank you, by all the stuff that George has just talked about. We are bringing together the biggest brains in academia, working with the best talent in industry, and not just one company, but several companies. And all of these experts working closely with, exploiting all the infrastructure, the resources, the databases, the patient cohorts, the clinical expertise that sit inside the mighty NHS. This ecosystem is working together to create value for patients. And that value could be new medicines, it could be new technologies, it could be diagnostics, it could be biomarkers, whatever. All these people are pooling their resources, pooling their expertise, sharing that risk, and collaborating quickly and freely to generate new medicines. Because we're all going to need them. Either we will need them ourselves, or people that we care about are going to need them. This is an urgent battle. You know, I was fortunate enough in GSK to work with Tashi Yamada. So Tashi used to be the head of R&D. Some of you may know him. He's now head of R&D in Takeda. And he always used to say, Chas, focus on the patient. He's absolutely right. So that's what we're doing. Let me just share with you what the impact has been of all of this. First of all, I think we've started to create hubs for academia. So my group in Oxford, we're about 95 people, we are working with, actively, more than 250 academic labs all over the world. This is a hub for academia. We've also created a hub for big pharma. We are currently working with 8 large pharmaceutical companies: GSK, Pfizer, Novartis, Lilly, Abbott, Takeda, J&J, and Boehringer Ingelheim. And there are other companies wanting to join. And each of these companies has given us $8 million over a 4-year period. We have $64 million of private funding to do what we're doing. We've also together created a hub for innovation, not just in translational medicine, but in biomedicine in general. The second thing that's happened, and it's inevitable, when you do these big projects involving all of these experts, which are having an impact, they are exciting, they're stimulating, they will be successful, they will create opportunities for the brightest people all over the world to come and join us and learn new skills and grow their careers. This is a magnet for attracting talent. The third thing that's happening, we're generating new targets for drug discovery. We're generating new technologies. All of these targets, technologies, etc., are now being seized on by entrepreneurs, academics, clinicians, bright young scientists to try and commercialize them. This is great. It will help patients. It will create jobs. And the fourth thing, of course, whenever you create an ecosystem like this, of course it attracts talent, it attracts inward investment, etc., and it sends out ripples of growth, of job creation, etc. But these ripples are not just confined to the UK. These ripples will spread across the world. This is a global impact because we know, history tells us, drugs, diagnostics, they do not have geographical barriers. So a few thoughts, what I worry about, what I'm doing, and what I think the impact of this great man has been. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Another impressive... I was quite impressed that you did all this in 9 months, but basically this started to happen way back. Yeah, so it preceded the strategy, seemingly, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, our vision was to be completely non-political about it, to look at the last decade and take the best of the previous government's initiatives and continue them, and anticipate, look ahead for a decade and anticipate the new things. So the NIHR, we've simply committed to continue. But some of the pull together around the translational vision, the NHS, the rigorousness of being honest about if we can't open the NHS up, we will have failed. I think that's all quite new.
So the systems approach presented by George, would that add to what you've done from the academic perspective with industry directly, with the NHS involved deeply, etc.? Would that be of enhanced value to what you just described?
Absolutely. So now what we're doing is we're trying to shift the pre-competitive boundary into the clinic. Because you all know that at the moment, most companies work on the same few targets. They do this because everybody reads the same literature, they go to the same conferences, and they talk to the same opinion leaders. They spend 5-6 years generating proprietary assets, working in parallel and in secret. And when they get to phase 2, into patients, the failure rate for novel targets, and that's what we care about, it's novel targets that will deliver novel medicines. The failure rate in phase 2 for novel targets is more than 90%. And I was with Ismail Kohler at the IMI strategy meeting a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, he's done some analysis with McKinsey recently, and he estimates the failure rate's actually 95%. You know, there is not another industry that would tolerate that. If I was making cars and only 5 cars out of 100 worked, I'd be dead.
But